UK&I Monday Night Skippys heads to Summit Point Raceway in West Virginia tonight. Join us in just a few moments' time. We're live for the green flag. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Monday Night Skippys here on Racewat TV and iRacing Live. Welcome to Jefferson County, West Virginia. We're just about 2 hours west of Washington, DC. They fight on the hill. Here we're going to be fighting on the hill, the valley, the corner, through the woods and up the straight. That's Summit Point Raceway. Rachel Whiteford and Connery Maddox joining you tonight with Hugh Louise on the cameras. We're here, a little bit delayed tonight, but we are live for the start of tonight's event. The event itself has been pushed back a little bit due to technical issues, but Connery, all things are going well, we think.
Yes, indeed they are. It seems like everyone has connected to the session okay. We have around about over 40 drivers for this one, so yet again another absolutely massive grid for Monday Night Skippys. It doesn't get any better than that.
It certainly does not. We've had huge grids all season so far, and one of the club UK&I's stalwart series has definitely had the members turning out in their droves for this one. Whether you are a pro driver or just a regular run-of-the-mill member, everybody has a place in this series and everyone can find a good place to race. There is literally racing throughout these fields. We have so much each week, Connery. We struggle to show everything. There is fighting at the front, in the middle, at the back. They're fighting at the grandstands, I think.
Yes, indeed. And yeah, as I said, fighting all throughout the pack, and that's the main thing about this series. There's just such a wide array of skill levels that you'll always find someone to fight with. And here at Racebot TV, we generally try to prioritize the fights at the front because those are the most impactful. But the fights throughout this field are absolutely amazing and are almost as good as what you see at the front.
Yeah, they certainly are, of course, and we're looking at our qualifying times right now as we are coming to the last 25 minutes of qualifying, so the last 5.5 minutes on the books. It's an open session for 25 minutes here. Tom Ward out front with RJ Garner in second place, Stuart Adcock in third, Mick Watson in fourth, and Fahim Antonades in fifth. It's looking like we could have a good one. And what I'm seeing already, Connery, is I've already seen a number of blown engines in qualifying. Summit Point is one of those tracks where we do see drivers leaving the car in a high RPM, lower gear through some of these sections. It stresses the engine, like Imola, where it's more draft related, they're overheating. Here is some gearbox stress going on, so could make things tense.
It looks like that's the case there, Rachel. I remember, I don't know if it was last season or a couple of seasons ago, where we went to this track where we had around about 4 or 5 blown engines. I'm not quite sure what the exact figure was.
I don't know, but Mazda were very happy because they are the engine supplier in the RT2000 Skip Barber race car. So go you, Mazda. But as it stands, we are going through these last few moments now. And we do talk about the blown engines being a critical part of this race, something you have to think about. It can happen. And there's some very technical sections to this course, Connery. Of course, the first corner, you arrive much slower because you're starting off. But on lap number 2, you're arriving into that big hairpin with a lot of speed. And that can be a major problem for some drivers down in the pack. Very heavy traffic. Also, that entire first sector can be very tight and twisting. Can lead to a lot of spatial issues, shall we say.
Yeah, it could well be, and that section turns 4, 5, 6 and 7, that sort of area, that's going to be all very, very congested because you've got that kink in the road at turn 4 just before turn 5, which is that long hairpin, and then you've got turn 6, which is almost basically another hairpin straight afterwards as well. And with a field as big as this, that can cause some carnage.
It certainly can, and our grid is up to 44 cars at the moment, as we've just had David Cake roll onto the track. He'll be driver number 44 into this session. We remember that name, don't we, Connery?
Yes, we do, for no reason in particular.
No reason at all. Let's just say the reason has been patched at Bathurst. We'll name no names, but you know what happened. You all know what happened, and we'll leave it there. So to look at our qualifying times, we've got some new movers. Richard Bagshaw up in 10th place at the moment, looking like a new mover up into that top 10, a name we've not really seen before, Connery, but a very quick time there. If we look at our times, actually, Tom Ward with a 1:19.2 is our current pole sitter, and we have to go all the way down to Tim Adcock in 24th place. 24 cars within a second. This is going to be a very close race.
It is indeed going to be a very, very close race. And coming back to that number 6 machine, though, Richard Bagshaw, again, I haven't seen him in this series at all, but it looks like he's setting some very, very competitive times right there. He's currently ahead of Chris Higgs behind Adrian Beidel. Chris Higgs only joined around about last season as well, but he's already ahead of some of the veterans like Clark Williams, Robert Plumley as well, so he could have some pace.
Certainly is, and Chris Higgs, of course, one of those drivers we've seen breaking towards that top 10 in the last couple of seasons. Someone to keep an eye on in terms of development of our front of field talent here. He's a name that we keep referring back to. Although every time I see his name, I keep thinking about bosons and particles, but that's another thing entirely.
Yes, indeed. Maybe he can... I'm trying to think of mass-related jokes, Rachel. I'm struggling. Can you help me?
Well, let's hope his force equals his mass times his acceleration at the start of this race and he doesn't stall on the grid.
That is a good one. I wish I thought of it.
Yes, we went there. And you know what? I'm not even ashamed. But it makes a break from Mick Watson and, of course, Mr. Holmes taking the brunt of our jokes, who deserve it. They are both in the race tonight. In fact, Brian Holmes has noticed the Sherlock jokes, so we'll leave those for now. We will have to, of course, wonder whether Stuart and Tim Adcock are back on their own rigs this week, because Stuart does seem to be at the front. He's in 5th at the moment in qualifying. And Tim is back in 22nd. Well, they're racing with Bill Fraser around him and Matt Cox, Anthony Dickens, Steve Hefford. So this is going to be a real fight at the bottom end of our top 20 as well, Connor. We've got some big names down there.
Yeah, those times are looking very, very close. We're just looking at the times in around like the 19.9s and the 20 flats. That is all very, very, very close there. A couple of drivers within 1/10 of a second right there as well. From 18th right down to 21st.
It certainly is, and what a field we have. If we talked about being 24 cars within the 1 second bracket at the front of our field, let's see how many are within 2 seconds. And we have to go all the way back to 40th. So that's 2 seconds covering 40 cars. Ladies and gentlemen, that is impressive in any racing series, that we have that tight a field through 40 cars. This track is by no means a simple racetrack. It is a very complex circuit. And speaking of complexity, qualifying is complete. Let's go to your starting grid. Starting on the pole for tonight's race will be Tom Ward with a 1:19.267. LJ Garnett alongside him in second place. On the row behind them, Benny Simonson jumps up into third with a 1:19.444 alongside Fahim Antonides. Row number 3 will be Stuart Adcock and Mick Watson. Row number 4, Andrew Leach and Mark Turner. And row number 5, Piers Cockey and Adrian Bidewell. Rest of those results up on your screen right now as we will go through that. Connery, this track is technical, it's fast, and it's an old school circuit. There are places here where we have tyre barriers, where we have berms, and we have trees. This is close to Formula 1 in the 70s, as you can imagine. Granted, the cars are a little bit less powerful, but it's still going to be fantastic.
I hope it will, and also this track is relatively narrow in places as well, especially in that very, very tight and twisty middle sector. So these guys have to be very, very careful negotiating that section on the first lap, and maybe for all of the 18 laps that we have.
It certainly will be, and we'll have a quick look at the weather. Of course, it's overcast conditions today, which will make for some great grip for these guys. 79 degrees Fahrenheit, track temperature also 79 degrees, wind is east 4 miles an hour. Humidity is low, and the air pressure is about average, Connery, so this is going to make for quite a grippy race.
Yeah, it's relatively warm, but it is overcast. That means the track temperature is going to come down quite a bit. But the air temp being relatively high for overcast weather means these engines are going to get a little bit stressed from all of that heat going into them, and we know what happens when Skip Barber engines get hot.
Oh, we do. Best to say the particles collide, and they fracture. We get fusion. Engine fusion. The engine block breaks. So, yeah, that was tenuous, I admit, but we will keep moving forwards with this one as we're going to wait for a few more seconds and head across to your starting grid. Some big names up there. Benny Simonson with a late qualifying run, Connery. That's an interesting one. He jumps up there to third place. That is certainly the cat amongst the pigeons.
Yeah, he was definitely a front runner, especially last season. I think that's one of the first times I've seen him up there during this season, so it's be interesting to see what he can do. Another interesting thing of note, though, Tom Ward actually set that pole time around about 0.2 faster than third place, and then it's just all chock-a-block from then on down with how close the times are.
It certainly is, and our cars are heading to the starting grid. We have a few more seconds before we will hit that green flag. Connery, are we going to make it through lap 1?
I think we'll make it through lap 1. Whether some of these drivers will, that is still under question.
Well, it's hopefully a question they'll be thinking about themselves and hoping to avoid as everybody heads out to that starting grid. And yes, people will be starting round the final corner with the size of the grid tonight. We have a lot of drivers on the racetrack. In fact, no, number 45 on the grid is Nick McCarron. He's starting just in the exit of the corners, so if we can get a camera shot actually showing you that grid, that is an absolutely huge line of cars. 45 Skip Barber race cars lined up here for tonight's event. This one is what we'd call a small grid for the UK&I club at the moment, but big in pretty much every other series. Keep our eyes on Tom Ward and his former teammate LJ Garnett out front. This is going to make for a very interesting event, of course. Tom Ward taking to the grid himself now in the final seconds Starter has the flag in his hand. Green flag is out. We're racing here in West Virginia. Good start by Ward. LJ Garnett making a good run on the outside, but it's a better start by Benny Simonson behind him in that blue and white Apex racing car. Fiumentonides with a good run as well as Stuart Adcock. 5 big hitters here at the front within a very small area. Into the first corner, and it's too wide through that corner as through to the front will come Benny Simonson. LJ Garnett on the outside of Tom Ward as well, as we get a swamping here of that friction racing car. The 08 of Tom Ward, 09 even. Benny Simonson secures the first place as through will go. Look a bit back in our grid. We'll see what's going on. Nothing at the moment. Some 3 wide, 2 wide racing. Everyone's still roughly in one piece at the moment. Connery.
Yes, indeed. Front of your field, a relatively single file coming down into these tricky left-hand hairpin of turn 5. There's a little bit too wide going on between Nathan Davies and Mark Turner in that number 31 Skip Barber machine. Looking back through your field for more fighting, though, there's Clark Williams in that number 98 and Adrian Bidwell. They're going at it, coming through the S's section now. It's not a good idea to go too wide through here.
Certainly is not. It'll certainly not help you with your timing, but we'll have a look back towards the front of the race as Tom Ward right on the gearbox now of Benny Simonson. In fact, he pulls to the inside for the final corner. Tom Ward will go through. Can Benny Simonson get the cutback? He's going to get the overspeed. And they're going to be alongside each other for the run towards the first corner. But do not count LJ Garnett out. The Radicals Online red and white machine there. Going to look to take it 3 wide. Will he go? He will not pull alongside. LJ Garnett playing the long game here, not wanting to get involved with Simonson and Ward, 2 very fiery drivers in this series. If there's a chance of something going wrong, it could well be between those 2. Garnett stalking in 3rd place right now as Antonides is in 4th. We have Adcock in 5th. Chris Higgs, big jumps up. He's actually qualified further up than we thought. Oh, Antonides off the racetrack. We'll have to get you a replay of what happens there, but Antonides with a snap spin to the right. And Connery, I think he just put his wheel on the grass. He did. Oh, wheel on the grass for Antonides. Spins the car out, slams hard into the barriers. That grass did not slow him down. Replay up on your screen.
Yeah, that is a relatively unfortunate single car spin there from Antonides, and those have become all too common for him in recent times, and that is just another one to add to the list. Yeah, he caught the grass on the right-hand side to unsettle
another
the car
incident.
completely.
We've had another car off. It's Benny Simonson who's gone up and over a berm. He is out of the track, and he'll be back in pit road now. Could get a replay for you of that one very quickly. Benny Simonson just gets on the grass, gets a wiggle, turns to the left, up the berm he goes, and decides to head for the moon. So Benny Simonson is very heavily damaged on the racetrack and gonna have to tow that car, we believe. Dramatic, not what we expect to see from Benny Simonson for sure, but this has left a very heady fight right now between Stuart Adcock and LJ Garnett. Stuart Adcock elbows his way through in the first corner here on lap number 3, getting up ahead of LJ Garnett. Garnett now back on his gearbox. Tom Ward out front with no real attack now as we've lost 2 of our top 5 in as many laps. For Antonides and Benny Simonson, both victims of putting a wheel on the grass and self-spins into oblivion. Stuart Adcock taking advantage. He's up from 5th place, qualifying up into 3rd now. As the pack behind them stayed very close here, Connery. Chris Higgs, Mick Watson, Andrew Leach, Nathan Davies, Martin Turner, Piers Cockey, Clark Williams, Adrian Bidwell, Robert Plumley all in this first train, and it's showing no real signs of letting up.
No, it isn't. That's a train all the way from 1st as well. I can't count how many cars are in this train right now. But we see just Mick Watson get a relatively bad run coming out of the second to last corner. Andrew S. Leach not taking that opportunity to pass, though. You see that gap starting to open out between the top 4 cars and the rest of the field.
It is doing just that. We have another car running wide. That was LJ Garnett up towards the front. He ran out onto the grass, as a few others have done here. Manages to hold on to it. Has lost momentum. Chris Higgs will pull up alongside him into braking for turn number 1 here on lap number 4. Behind them, it's going to be 2 wide with Mick Watson and Andrew Leach, but Mick Watson will hold on to that spot. Higgs on the outside of Garnett. This is a fight we've been looking forward to seeing, Connery. It's the likes of LJ Garnett. We know he's very fast. But Chris Higgs, he's moving forwards.
Yeah, he is moving forwards. He qualified 6th. He's up to 4th place already, and now he's trying to fight for 3rd place, but has to back out of it. There goes Mick Watson, Andrew S. Leach behind, and Nathan Davies also looking for an opportunity on the inside
Connery,
of turn 4 here.
Behind you, we've got a big fight here with Bill Fraser, Simon Maltby, and David Yamamoto there. This is the number 34, 23 and the 50 cars here battling down. This is the bottom of your top 20, but this is on, and it is a big fight here. And Patrick Fairbanks also arriving to get involved here as Yamamoto grabs some curb there in turn number 5, but good 4-car battle here down at the bottom of the top 20. Bill Fraser leading this group here. We've seen some migration back from some of these drivers, but the fighting is still just as intense.
You say migration back there, Rachel, but Bill Fraser actually qualified in 22nd. He's up to 18th right now when all is said and done. So he has gained a couple of positions. Here comes Patrick Fairbanks, maybe on David Yamamoto, that number 50 car, but no backs out just before the final corner. Are they going to run wide? Very, very close to doing so. Here comes Fairbanks.
Good inside line for Fairbanks there. Has the momentum off the corner, and he'll pull to the inside line as he goes 3 wide there with a lap car who gets well out of the way. Yamamoto to the inside up ahead of them. It's Maltby to the inside of Fraser. Maltby will make the pass. Fairbanks makes the pass, and they're both through. But all Fairbanks runs wide. Yamamoto has the inside line again. Undercut for Yamamoto. He will pull clear. Although inside line for the next corner will still be to Fairbanks. He has a chance to defend here. And Patrick Fairbanks, that 109 machine defend. Yamamoto backs out, gives him the corner. Good bit of racing back here, Connery. This is certainly fantastic stuff. And considering this is for 20th place, more than we normally expect.
Yeah, this is absolutely what the UK&I Skip Barber series is about. Fighting all throughout your field. As you see Yamamoto go very deep on the brakes right there. Patrick Fairbanks just locking up a tiny little bit. Looking back more towards the front of your field though. That number 12 car of Piers Coggey is currently in a fight with Adrian Bidwell and Robert Plumley. This one's getting very, very close indeed. Adrian Bidwell just shows the nose a little bit, coming down this little bit of a straight before the final corner. They all take it single file though, as I believe Piers Coggey's just going to go wide and hits the gravel. This gives an opportunity to Bidwell and Plumley.
Certainly does. Have a quick look there. Bidwell alongside with Piers Coggey, that number 12 machine. The Redmayne Bentley car, as Coggey will be passed. Plumley's going to hold back for now. Plumley will stay in line. Bidwell has the inside line in the AM Racing machine. Bidwell secures that spot and will keep the momentum up. Some damage on the front end there.
We have a retirement there, Rachel. That was Nathan Davies just pulling off on the escape road coming down into turn 1. I'm not exactly sure what's wrong with this car. It doesn't look like the engine has blown, so that might just be a retirement from him for extenuating circumstances.
Having a quick look at what's happening with Nathan Davies. Don't see any puff of smoke from his car. He does just pull off though, Connery. So not looking like a replay there showing him pulling into that escape road. But no damage that we could see. So an unfortunate retirement again for Nathan Davies. We'll look back at the front of your field here. Tom Ward and Stuart Adcock are in a good fight. Gunn has dropped back. The front 3 have really broken away. Mick Watson, though, he is hanging on in 4th place. He's about 2 seconds back from your leader. But what we are really looking at here, Connery, is look how close Stuart Adcock has managed to get to Tom Ward. Adcock really chasing down your leader right now. Qualified in 5th, up in 2nd. And he has the momentum of your leader.
Yep, and we just saw Tom Ward just clip the gravel a little bit. We may be seeing a challenge for the lead for Stuart Adcock. There goes Tom Ward defensive. On the run down into turn 1. Maybe Stuart Adcock can get it done on the brakes around the outside here. Down into turn 1. Tom Ward's going to stick his nose in there, and they're going to still take it too wide through turn 2 as well.
They certainly will, but Stuart Adcock has the outside line, which will become the inside line for turn number 4 here. He's held his car in the right place. He holds him wide. Stuart Adcock has the preferred line through turn 4. Doesn't quite clear Tom Ward, though. Ward back has the inside line now for 5 and 6. Heading down towards the wagon wheel now, one of the toughest corners. Can he stay alongside? Stuart Adcock does stay alongside. This is bringing LJ Garnett into the fight now. But Tom Ward can hold it on the outside. Now it's his line. Will these two decide where they want to race? Stuart Adcock will drop back, actually, as all the inside line goes back to Stuart Adcock. Great racing here. These two taking advantage of each other. This really cold, overcast weather providing a lot of grip as Adcock finally clears Tom Ward. Fantastic racing from this pair as Ward gets an overlap again. Will these two let up? I have no idea. Up towards the final corner, inside line to Tom Ward. Can Adcock get a drop back? Can he go for the undercut? He'll get some momentum through the corner. And he has it again. Stuart Adcock with the chance to get an overlap. And he does just that. LJ Garnett goes for it too. And we're going to go 3 wide here onto lap number 8 here at Summit Point Raceway. Who will clear who? And it looks like Stuart Adcock and LJ Garnett will both clear Tom Ward, who drops back in the line. Fantastic racing, but this has really brought Mick Watson in as he closed the door there on Tom Ward. And it's Garnett and it's Adcock side by side here for the lead on Motor Race. LJ Garnett's going to have the inside line for 4. This will be a critical one. Can Stuart Adcock do what Tom Ward did last time by? Can he hold it round the outside? He drops back in line. A little bit more conservative this time by from Adcock as they'll both follow through here. Tom Ward looking for an opening. Can't quite make one happen. Going to look for the outside for it to run down towards 5. He doesn't go for it in the end. But Adcock now back in second place. LJ Garnett promoted up. Now, Gio has become a trio. Has become a quadra thingy.
Whatever the
Let's go with
term
that. Yeah, I'm being dumb.
Yes, indeed, and all that fighting has just allowed Mick Watson to catch right back onto the back of his chain. And a quartet, shall we say, Rachel?
That's the word I was looking for, but as we speak about quartets, it is LJ Garnett leading this train here. We'll have to see what happens in this final run through the corner now, as the draft has been a big one on this front stretch, Connery. These guys all swapping positions, and we're expecting another 3 wide here as they all get the draft from each other. LJ Garnett really the victim.
Yeah, and part of what these guys are doing is Stuart Adcock looks towards the inside here, and Tom Ward looks towards the inside of him. We're going to go 3 wide yet again, coming down into turn 1. Tom Ward will have the inside line on Stuart Adcock right there. Oh, there's a little bit of a tap between Stuart Adcock and Tom Ward. Tom Ward just shoving Stuart Adcock out of the way a little bit, either intentionally or not. Now LJ Garnett and Stuart Adcock are going to go 2 wide coming through turn 3 right now, but they settle back into single file. Will LJ Garnett have a little bit of a look again? He might well have coming down into the hairpin.
What we'll do is we'll just go back and give you a quick replay of turn number 1 there, Conor. Have a quick look at the braking zone in this one if we can show you that replay. You'll see Tom Ward goes for the inside line. Look at that car wiggling on the brakes. Just wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. He's braking so heavily and he dives in just too hard. Tags that back wheel of Adcock. And really, he had no option but to just lightly tap that car. So really outbraking himself a little bit. We're looking back live as soon as we can. It's Tom Ward from Adcock from the car of LJ Garnett now. Adcock's got to be looking for a bit of payback here. He's been muscled once by Tom Ward. He wants to try and find an opportunity to get payback.
Yeah, as both himself and I believe that was LJ Garnett run wide into the gravel yet again there. But they still have the draft over Tom Ward. Tom Ward's going to take a defensive line yet again, coming down into turn 1, try and force Stuart Adcock in that number 52 machine to try and go around the outside. Stuart Adcock very, very, very deep on the brakes right there, locks up. But will he have this move done? I don't think so. Tom Ward will almost have the run out. He's almost like a front wings width just away from Stuart Adcock's front tyre there, but Adcock to the lead.
Adcock holding the door slightly ajar, but not quite as they both run onto the gravel. Tom Ward going to have to look to the outside here. Can he hold it through the approach to 5? This will be of critical importance. He doesn't quite make it. Stuart Adcock does have the line unless Tom Ward wants to go for another mega braking move. Going to be a little bit more conservative this time by inside line 2. Stuart Adcock in our 52 black and white machine. This front racing is absolutely fantastic as this foursome is getting very much involved now. Tom Ward and Stuart Adcock, they've had some love lost in the past, Connery. Now there's been a little bit of a tap under braking. Both of them will have their temper up, shall we say. This is not going to end peacefully.
Maybe it isn't as they just come through the final corner right now. Who will get the best of the runs out of the corner against Stuart Adcock running a little bit wide into that gravel? You have to wonder, Rachel, how much that is compromising his speed down the straights.
It certainly will have a big impact on whether it's compromising his speed as Ward looks to the inside of... Sorry, Adcock looks to the inside of Ward, but Ward holds the door there. A little compromised line in for Tom Ward. Not the speed he wants. This has really brought this group together here, Connery. We'll have a quick look back at what's been going on with Patrick Fairbanks and Bill Fraser. They're side by side now running in towards turn number 1. They've all 3 moved up now. This group is running up here in 15th place. They were in 20th last time we saw them. It's still Yamamoto, Fairbanks and Fraser running here as Fraser and Fairbanks nearly rubbing wheels there through turn number 1. Absolutely fantastic racing here. These guys all pushing their way into the points now at a high speed.
Oh, contact there, Fairbanks. Oh,
yes.
He manages to recover though, but he's going to lose a position to David Yamamoto right there and another position to David Taylor and maybe Andrew Mumby. Mumby will get past right here as well, so... Oh, that is absolutely terrible for Fairbanks there.
Certainly is, and we can really put that one down. If we get a replay for you, that's Bill Fraser just cutting across his nose. You see him tap the front wheel with his rear wheel as he's turning in. The front end of that car is a little bit lighter than it wants to be, and he just turns him slightly off the racetrack. Great recovery there by Patrick Fairbanks. as we go back live. We'll have a look at the front of our races. It's getting action-packed now as they run down to turn 1 again. Tom Ward, Stuart Adcock and LJ Garnett. What the heck? Let's go 3 wide yet again. It seems like the fun thing to do as Tom Ward will back out here. But he comes back again. He will have his nose up the inside. Stuart Adcock holds that line on the inside though. This will be enough for him. Has good momentum. He's not being overhauled by Tom Ward. LJ Garnett will just drop back a little bit as Stuart Adcock will take this place. It's lap number 12 here of 18. We have no idea what order they're going to finish in as they run on the gravel again. These guys really enjoying that gravel. This isn't rallycross, guys. You don't need to take a joker every lap.
Yeah, and here comes Tom Ward, maybe down towards the inside of Stuart Adcock, coming down into this hairpin of 10.5. They make contact. Stuart Adcock shoved wide, Tom Ward to the lead. I have to wonder how much damage there is to Stuart Adcock's car, to that the rear left tyre right there, but he's still fighting with LJ Garnett right there. Now he's going to come under threat from Mick Watson, maybe, but no, he manages to get in line.
That was a fairly substantial hit by Tom Ward on Stuart Adcock there. We'll have to see what it's done to his car in terms of lap time, but this is the sort of thing that we really don't want to see, Connery. And it's another late braking move by Tom Ward. He shoved the car in there and just wasn't the room with Stuart Adcock's car. Doesn't seem to be too compromised at the moment, so hopefully his suspension's intact, but that is Adcock back into 3rd place. Ward out front, Garnett in 2nd place. Mick Watson, he's looking on here, expecting a potential for not just a podium, but perhaps 2nd place the way this is playing out.
Yeah, and we see Tom Ward actually apologising for that move over the race communications right there to Stuart Adcock. But Stuart Adcock must be absolutely fuming right now. That is twice that Tom Ward has shoved him out of the way in the braking zone. Maybe, if he's thinking eye for an eye at this moment.
He certainly could be at the moment, as Andrew Leach just behind him has moved up. That's a 502 car. He's just gotten past Chris Higgs in the 11th, so move Leach up into the 5th spot. Top 5 finish for these guys would be fantastic. Behind him as well, we've got Mark Turner there in that Apex Racing Academy machine. He's moving forwards as well, up to 7th, qualified in 9th place. Big mover so far. Steve Hefford, he qualified in 20th. He is right behind him in 8th place. That's 12 places made up so far. Brilliant driving there from Hefford. Another big mover as well. Ashley Owen back in the number 17 car. He's in 12th, up from 26th place. That's a climb of 14 positions. We've got 13 for Darryl Taylor in the Epicure Banana car, the 22 car. So some very, very big movers here, Connery, as we're looking at this one. We'll have a quick look back at Fairbanks and O'Connor. Okay, so that one's broken up there. He dropped back, of course, the incident. Bill Fraser and Yamamoto. Yamamoto's gotten past Fraser as we're looking back to the lead really quickly as it's 3 wide yet again, round down into turn number 1. It's Ward and Garnett around the outside. He holds it very tight. Ward will get a run here though.
Yes, indeed he will, as they are still running 2 wide, coming down into turn 3 right now. That's very, very tough to go 2 wide through there, but they manage it. Tom Ward running through the gavel slightly. Stuart Adcock may look to make it 3 wide, coming down into the hairpin. That'll be very, very brave indeed, but it looks like he just stays behind for now. Tom Ward getting a massive slide down coming out of turn 4, coming down into turn 5. This long left-hand hairpin. LJ Garnett's going to get the back end as well. This is fantastic wheel-to-wheel racing.
Absolutely, Connery, as these guys are really, really getting the elbows out here. You'd think this is touring car racing. And speaking of big movers as well, we mentioned Kip Stevens. Alice Stevens here up from 42nd to 21st, up 21 positions. He is the mover of our race so far. That is a huge, huge achievement, but we'll have a look back at your lead here towards the final corner. It's Garnett and Ward really close here. Garnett got his front wing under the rear wing there of Tom Ward. As he's going to have a run again. Tom Ward once again taking his customary defensive line there, Connery. Always diving to the inside, gives himself a very tight entry. Hard to really defend his lead. Lets people really have a go at the outside pass. In fact, he's going to drop back in order here, possibly stay behind LJ Garnett. We're going to have 3 laps remaining. Adcock back in 3rd, so Tom Ward now having to defend and attack, which is a bit of a busier position for him.
Yes, indeed it is. And I just want to go back to a train of thought I had a couple of laps ago that I want to finish. Coming down that straight and out of the last corner as we see Tom Ward. He's not going to let me finish my train of thought as he goes down towards the inside of turn 4 right there, but has to fall behind. But what I was going to say is that those guys coming out of the final corner down the straight, they want to be figuring out where they want to be on the final lap coming out of that corner.
Oh, they certainly do. And making the pass before the start-finish line is very difficult, so you want to be leading coming out of that final corner from what we've seen so far in this race as they head through the S's section here at the back of the racetrack. You are going to want to be leading here, Connery. This is where you want to be out front. You can hold that lead to the line. The passes all seem to happen after the line between there and the first corner. So it's going to be critical to make that pass early and make it stick. We are going to see some very desperate lunges if you're in second place before this point.
I guess a desperate lunge coming into the last corner may be able to work if the lead car pushes wide into the gravel. That could work and get you a position coming across the line. But here comes Tom Ward right now. LJ Garnett again taking perhaps Tom Ward's defensive line right there, as Tom Ward may get this done before the brakes. No, he doesn't. He's going to have to take it too wide down into the first corner. No, LJ Garnett is going to have to take it too wide with Stuart Adcock coming down into first corner. And here comes Mick Watson. He's been just quiet and stalking. He may be a dark horse in this one, just biding his time as he goes too wide with Stuart Adcock.
Absolutely there. Mick Watson just managed to get some good traffic, good ground even I should say, on Stuart Adcock, but Adcock defending that position, stays in third place overall. Tom Ward and Garnett are racing hard here. Garnett wants to make that pass, but is he going to be brave enough to go for a big jump at Tom Ward here, Connery? As he's getting very sideways V5 there, very nearly got underneath the gearbox, jacked at the rear wheels of Tom Ward there, so Garnett pushing very hard right now. We're going to have about 3 laps, I think 2 laps remaining once we get to the line this time, so it's really go time for these guys.
It is a go time as a little bit of a gap emerges between the top
behind them
two
we've
cars.
got contact. Big moment there between, I think that was Mark Turner and the car of Chris Higgs as they were running to the back of the S's. We'll get a replay for you. As you can see there, just goes for the inside line. The gap closes off without him realising there was a car in there beside beside Turner. And Higgs just gets big sideways, drops the spot there to Andrew Leach. But he'll stay with this group for now, so potential for him to make that move back as he does look to the inside in the run to turn number 1. Back to your lead though, it's Garnett and Ward yet again. Big side-by-side moment there. They were nearly touching. In fact, I think they did touch, Connery. As Garnett's going to look for that inside through turn 4.
Yes, they're going to go so wide through turn 4. That is contact through turn 4 right there. Stuart Adcock has to run wide into the gravel. There looks to be a little bit of damage on LJ Garnett's car at least. And here comes Stuart Adcock sensing blood coming down into turn 5 right now. Here comes Mick Watson as well. He senses an opportunity too. He's just been watching and waiting for the first majority of this race. But now is his time to strike. How much damage does LJ Garnett have? I spot a little bit of suspension damage on his right hand side. I don't know how much that is going to affect him, but he's trying to stay onto the back of Stuart Adcock right now. Just drops back through that last part of the S's. We're going to come up to the final corner for the second to last time. I don't know who to pick.
Absolutely not, Connery, as we're going to come to the final corner now. Stuart Adcock needs a big run here. He wants to get past Tom Ward on this run towards turn number 1. This is his chance. He needs to make this move now. Ward's going to go big defensive to the inside line. Look at him drift across. Following the draft is Stuart Adcock. He goes to the outside. Watch him go as wide as he can here to try and get the run around the outside. Or he's going to pinch Tom Ward tight. No, he'll run back to the outside as Ward takes a bit more room. Nearly pushing him wide. Garnett dives for the inside line as there's a little bit of a tap there between Garnett and Adcock. This is not going to end well. This lap will not end cleanly. I'm putting money on it now as they're going to run through turn number 4 now as Ward just closing off Garnett. Garnett and Ward very close there. Nearly contact. Contact twice there between Garnett and Ward. This is bloodbath waiting to happen here. These guys are being very, very aggressive. Big braking move by Garnett as he looks to the inside for 5. He opens the door slightly but can't quite fit enough of his car through there as he's going to try and find an opening. He knows he has to get the lead here if he wants a chance to win this race. Tom Ward doing everything he has to here to control this motor race. Garnett all but lifting the rear wheels of Tom Ward's car off the ground. He is not going to have an opportunity unless he can throw a huge undercut through this final corner now. 1 more corner to go, and it's Tom Ward taking a very defensive line. He knows what's at stake here. LJ Garnett to the outside, goes wide for an undercut, but Stuart Adcock's to the inside. Both of them hit the gravel, but it's not going to be enough. Tom Ward will run to the line, and Tom Ward will win at Summit Point. LJ Garnett in second place, Stuart Adcock in third, Mick Watson in fourth. All 4 cars between 0.3 of a second for your top 4. That is oval racing close, Connery.
That was absolutely fantastic racing right there, and some of the best that we've seen in this series. I'm just looking back at a couple of runners through our field looking for any close battling. Here comes the number 47 of David Cake. He's going to try and move on. Mark O'Connell coming down the final straight towards the line. I believe David Cake may get it here. It's going to be very, very, very close. Who got that? I believe it was David Cake in the end, getting that position for 17th off of Mark O'Connell. That is as close as you'd like.
You could safely say he took the cake.
Yeah, he had his cake and ate it too.
We'll stop with the terrible puns and we'll bring you your post-race results. Coming home with a victory here at Summit Point, it is Tom Ward after a fantastic nail-biting race at the front. LJ Garnett just comes home in second place, but not for want of trying. Third place and the final step of the podium goes to Stuart Adcock after a very busy event. Fourth place is Mick Watson. Fifth place is Mark Turner. Andrew S. Leach is in sixth place. Chris Higgs, Steve Hefford, Brian Holmes and Clark Williams, your top 10. Rest of the results up on the screen. Well, Connery, that was absolutely nail-biting. A fantastic race here, and the battling at the front was absolutely furious. We wanted to spend time looking at the rest of the field. We barely got a chance to look away. That was frantic, but around such a tight, twisty, narrow racetrack, that was fantastic car control from our lead group.
Yeah, fantastic car control, fantastic racecraft as well. Stuart Adcock must be feeling a little bit frustrated after receiving contact from Tom Ward in the braking zone, not once, twice, but 3 times. But none of them retired. They all managed to cross the line, all in podium positions as well. Not really any harm done there.
Absolutely not. Well, it's going to be a busy one for now, but we're going to take a short commercial break. We'll be back in just a few moments with post-race interviews.
More than impressive, I have to say. I mean, the track is identical to the real track. I was blown away how realistic it is. Every little bump, every little spray paint, everything is exactly like you were there at the track. It was a great experience. This is a warm-up lap now. Tires to get warmed up. The engine. Breathe a little bit here when you go through that little bump there. And then it's flat pretty much all the way through here, just about. Hard braking. This is the slowest part of the track. And then I've done, I did many races in Formula 3, Formula 2. And then I did the very last race they did there in Group C in 1983 in the 956 Porsche. That's when Beloff got the lap record at the 6:11. I think I was second on the grid with the 6:14 or something. Which was, I mean, those cars were awesome around there, of course, like any car is, that speed. And this is the corner of all corners here, the Schwedenkreuz. Flat all the way into it. And then trail brake all the way into the apex here. And then hard at it again to get good speed down the hill here. Mega fast down this hill here. Just jump from one apex to the next. Gotta be super precise here. I mean, it's almost exactly like the real thing. So, I mean, it is certainly realistic enough to get past the a lot of the initial hurdles you have when you try to learn to drive a race car, So, I mean, I think it's an excellent tool to learn how to race for sure, or learn to drive a car on a racetrack.
Welcome back to Monday Night Skippys here at Summit Point Raceway. Round number 4 is in the books. Rachel Whiteford and Conor Maddock here as always. Tom Ward, your winner tonight, with LJ Garnett and Stuart Adcock joining him on the podium. But one driver who thought he might have had a chance at the podium tonight was Fahim Antonides. Fahim was, unfortunately, one of our first victims of Summit Point. Fahim, getting a rear wheel on the grass doesn't really mix, does it?
No, it's not advisable. But I'm here to say that it doesn't matter whether I have a good result or a bad result, I'm always available to have a chat.
And that is awesome. We love having you come in to have a chat to us. This track, I mean, obviously, just tell us about how it was in practice. Very tight technical racetrack here. We didn't see any engines going up this time, unlike the last race here where we saw about 5. But we did see braking being a major issue into some of these corners.
Yeah, well, practice was an odd one because the first practice session that was set up didn't have enough grid slots. Alan forgot to allow for enough grid slots, so half the field couldn't join. And what we had to do was set up a new session, but that meant that the weather conditions were totally different. So it was a real contrast because in the first session it was as hot as I've ever seen it, and in the second session it was as cold. And that made a big difference for me because with this car, in hot weather, it understeers a lot. And the way you counter, or at least I counter the understeer, is that I bring the brake balance back a little bit, and that helps with rotating the car into the corner. Now, of course, I forgot to change that going into the cold session. And so a very slight dab of the brakes and going on the grass got me into a snap oversteer situation. I just couldn't do anything about catching it. The technical issues, I think, caught me out. Let me see what other excuses I can think of. No, I think that's a good one.
Good excuses are always an appropriate one to throw at it, but unfortunately not your day today, Fahim. It's one of those tracks that can be a bit of a Marmite track for
I mean, that's right. I mean, it's a very tough track. It's narrow, it's twisty, it's very technical. And it's not my favorite track. I prefer long sweeping corners. That's where I'm fastest. Places like Watkins Glen and Mosport, Monza, those are the kind of places I like. So this is the opposite of what I like. Having said that, I'm quite handy around Lime Rock, but probably because we've had that since the dawn of iRacing and everyone knows that track like the back of their hands.
It's also the shortest track, so it's pretty easy to learn.
Yeah, that's true. But what I focused on after that out, obviously I was almost a lap down, was the only way I could have some fun was to try and focus on some hot lapping, and I packed in some really tight laps. I don't know whether you saw on the deltas, but I was pulling away from the leaders all along, and most of my laps were in the within a tenth or so of each other, and so that was the only way I could entertain myself for the rest of the race. But I suppose it's easy to hot lap when you're on your own.
Well, there certainly were very fast laps. He did actually manage to finish on the lead lap back in 28th place, so impressive just to stay on that lead lap. Of course, some fantastic tracks coming up in the rest of the season for him. Next week, of course, we head to Circuit de la Sarthe in France for the 24 Hours de Mans circuit, and that's going to be a fantastic race there. We also have Road America, Donington Park, Interlagos, Mount Panorama, aka Bathurst, New Hampshire's road course, always a fan favourite here in Club UK&I Skippys, Watkins Glen and Sebring. Which are your favourites? Name us 3.
I love Mount Panorama. I love Watkins Glen. And what was the other one? There was...
We have Sebring, New Hampshire. We have Interlagos, Donington, Road America, and...
Interlagos and Donington. Yeah, I mean, look, it's a really good selection of... Yeah, listen, it's a good selection of tracks this season. Moving forward, there should be a few tracks that suit me, and I look forward to it. I mean, you can't run isn't bad, so I'm quite happy with that. So long as I can just carry on, not making mistakes, it should be all fine.
Well, it certainly will be. Well, thank you for joining us for a quick chat tonight, Fahim.
Thank
it's
you.
Been great as always having you on.
Is there no one else to chat with you today?
There's no one. You are the only person that's come for an interview today, so we really appreciate that.
Full form. All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys. See you next week.
See you next week, Fahim. Well, thank you for joining us. Fahim Antonides came home today in 28th place after starting 4th and had that early self-spin. And, well, Connery, as we mentioned, we head to Circuit de la Sarthe next week, and the famous track that hosts the 24 Hours de Mans. That's going to be an incredible race and a draft spectacular, so do not forget to tune in same time next week, 9 o'clock GMT, and you can catch all the action from Monday Night Skippies. I've been Rachel Whiteford, and I've been joined by Connery Maddock, Hugo Luis on the cameras. See you next week. Good night.